So this woman is getting a lot of attention. One, because Trump has posted her on his Truth, also saying how wonderful a woman she is. I won't get into the rumor mill about things I cannot confirm, but she says some things in here that are like, oh, okay, wow.
In the studio, good to see you, as always.
Good to see you.
There's so many people putting this down as a political conspiracy theory, but actually there are real questions to be answered here.
There are?
Yeah, of course there are. Of course there are.
What he's being accused of, but what part do you think is to answer that the 2020 election is going to be litigated because of this? They've made a huge mistake with this.
So she starts this. See the body kind of stop. It goes stiff because she's forcing him to respond, which he does not, at least that we see. So I'm going to assume whatever reaction he gave to her would have been the response. It was not a verbal response. So she gets that cue that we do not get to see. And then you see her adjust herself in the chair. She folds her leg over. She's getting all comfortable. She's going to get into this.
Because even though we thought what was going to happen was they were going to go after him for treason.
And as you see her speak on this, you keep seeing the hand come up and down like it's an axe. And for those of you who have watched me since the beginning, we don't actually see this too often, but you're in the realm of someone's mind with this. This is it. This is their truth. This is their axe. This is a very hard thing. You're getting into someone's immovable truth when you start seeing this kind of repetitive motion. It can be a fist, it can be an axe, it can even be a finger pointing when you have fingers and stuff like that. You start adding things to it. But an axe or the other one, the fist, which is I call the hammer, you're getting into their mind where what's coming out of their mouth as they speak it is their solid ground. It's where their mind is. It would take a miracle for them to change their mind when you start seeing this motion.
Sedition. But they did criminally charge him, but they didn't go to that extreme. As a result, he has due process, so he can subpoena people and bring things in. Now, let me say something about this.
So he can subpoena people, and she's kind of cupping it. So to me, she's got something in her hand that she's holding on to, but she doesn't mind it being seen, which I'm assuming goes with the verbals coming out of her mouth. She's telling you things, now we can subpoena, so that's what she's cupping. And then we go into gated.
This 2020 election is that Biden is the legitimate president, but he's the legitimate president of what is now the bankrupt U.S. corporation. And that was a treaty in 1871. Well, on September 12, 2018, Trump created an executive order. Within that, he outlined in future elections any kind of foreign or domestic interference, specifically for the 2020 election. So we say, how did he know some of these things were going to happen? Election integrity on both sides of the aisle is tough. It's really tough. But what this has done is it's opened the door for Trump to present his case.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? Because, what we...
So, unfortunately, we didn't get to see a whole lot of that. We saw her go gated as she presents this argument. And then when we come back, she's hammering it. He's going to present his case. Remember that immovable mind. It's immovable. She's also very stressed in the mouth. We're not seeing a bunch of believe me look, although I surmise it's probably because there's a lot of Botox and things of that nature going on.
We see on this side of the pond is a very difficult situation where the legal system is politicized.
So she's watching him quite intently. I mean, she is scanning his face and body, looking for a cue. I'm not quite sure what the cue is that she's looking for. Maybe it's to see how he takes the news.
In the United States, which is abhorrent to us over here. So the fact that Trump can subpoena, some people saying it's a mistake by Jack Smith.
So she wants to speak, and you see the body moving right as it cuts back to her, and the arms coming in and out. She's waiting. She kind of falls down intently, watching him, like waiting for him to pause so that she can get her word in edgewise.
Smith, but actually he can subpoena. The people can actually see evidence from both sides. That's a sensible move.
Exactly. And it's a great mistake by Jack Smith that he's done that. Absolutely great. See, the thing is, think about Edward Snowden and all the information he had. Think about the fact that our military, our Department of Defense Space Force, if you think that they don't have the actual real results from the election, then you're fooling yourself.
Yeah, but what we do know with this is we're told that there are plenty of notes from people, including Vice President Pence, that there are some recordings of Donald Trump acknowledging that actually what he said in public was nonsense. That some of these states, whether he claimed he was out saying look, Detroit, it's corrupt, it's all corrupt, the results are corrupt, and that when in reality he knew it wasn't. That's illegal.
But you know what? That's what someone's claiming, but that's not the fact.
So this part, we don't get to see very much of her. It's apparent by the way she's responding and that her body is leaning more towards the reporter who is claiming that that was true, that she does not believe it. Leans in, that is, eye closes. It's almost like a half eye roll. She does not believe that.
That's not what Donald Trump really has ever said. He's been very, very clear. I mean, the issues were, for example, in Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court of the state of Pennsylvania stepped in and changed some of the election laws. Under our Constitution, it's only the state legislators that can do that. 2,000 Mules, the film that came out, what they did, they spent over $4 million tracking the phones. And the reason it's only 2,000 mules is that based on the visits to the drop boxes in Georgia, they had to have gone over 10 times. And they've got all the film for that. So the thing is that the election integrity is so different and so problematic in every single state. But that doesn't mean that the machines didn't do something, that there were some other kind of finagling. But the long and short... Go ahead.
Well, it doesn't... But that's where conspiracy comes in, is it?
So you see a little bit of tremble. You see the smile. One, you saw him sit there and look away and whisper into the other lady's ear. She's bringing up evidence. Evidence you just can't throw out the window. People have done their research. And so now you're having to see her react to his pushback. A little bit of tremble, the mouth comes open, she's trying to stretch out her jaw, all those muscles going tight, the stress in the face, but she's still hammering it. She's still axing it.
To say, well, it doesn't mean that something didn't happen. Well, there's no evidence that it happened. I mean, there's how many court cases did the Trump campaign try to bring? Nothing's gone in his favour.
Okay, wait a minute. Everyone, the media goes, oh, there were 60 court cases that were rejected. No. There were 3. He won 2. He lost 1. 57 were never heard because they had no standing. And standing means that the person bringing the case has to claim some kind of impact or injury. So it's really, the media did that, and they're great at doing that, but it was a fallacy in there. And the thing is that I sit on a task force at the Department of Defense, and...
Well, that rude person who he's sitting there doodling while she speaks, the other lady's becoming very uncomfortable. When you can't control her and force her down, a particular path, and she just keeps pushing back, it's not making their job easy, and they don't care to listen.
The thing is, they've got the goods. They've got the goods, and Trump knew that if he presented any of the goods early on, we'd have a civil war, that he really felt that the people needed to see how bad it could get.
And that's the sense that we're getting from Trump's lawyer about what his defence is going to be. So this is all going to be based on free speech, the First Amendment in the US Constitution, that he had a right to say what he believed, and he believed that the election results were not as was put out. But the point is, if you live in a democracy and you believe in a democracy, then that means that even if you don't like the outcome of an election, you respect that because it's a democratic vote.
Well, a democratic vote, and so therefore he should be silent about it.
He has a right to speak, but the issue, of course, is if he then acts to subvert that election result.
Oh, so that because you think he's being criticized because in Georgia he said, can you find me 12,000 votes? Or, the thing is, he didn't try to subvert anything. What he's really done is he set up the deep state to come out, and that's why we're seeing all these things. I mean, it was revealed with whistleblowers and Hunter Biden's ex-best friend that in 2015, the head of Burisma gave Joe and Hunter Biden $10 million bribe. In 2018, Joe is on TV publicly saying that he threatened that unless they got the prosecutor fired, that he wasn't going to let them have their $1 billion in support. In 2019, Trump calls Zelensky to find out about what went on to get the prosecutor fired, and he gets impeached. I mean, we've lived with it for a long time.
We're almost out of time. I just want to pick you up on one thing. You said earlier on, Donald Trump has been very clear on this. Is he a man that you believe? I mean, look, he's about believable as a chocolate teapot, isn't he?
Look, I know that, thank God you got the negativity in at the end and not the beginning. I can always count on you for that, always.
But it's a legitimate point to say that Donald Trump is a man who always speaks.
That's quite funny. So she attacks him back. Thank God you got that negativity at the end. And she can't really look at him. She does not give good eye contact, but she's pushing back.
The truth. That can't be the case. I mean, it's hardly the case of any leader, to be fair, but, I mean, definitely not Donald Trump.
Well, I don't know if I said everything or always, because I do call him the embellisher-in-chief, because he's a marketer. But in terms of telling us things, optics, you better believe that he's very much a straight shooter in terms of actions that he's going to take or what he thinks needs to be done.
So her believe me look actually comes through her eyeballs. She gets crazy eyes. Now she's going to lean forward and give us again what she believes. And considering that it doesn't sound like she's pulling this out of her butt, and that we know the context being that Trump knows this woman. She knows Trump. Trump shares this woman. All I can find on this woman's bio is that she was a former transition member. For those of you who are better at this, I'm sure you can find out more information, and it'd be solid. But I would assume as a transition member that she would know things. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see.
If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
If you'd like to learn more about analysing body language, there is a video course available on Mandy's website for Gold subscribers.